Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Chase. Nice to be back with you all this week. Today we'll be covering Bitcoin, Ethereum. We'll look at the alts real quick, see what's going on, and then we'll do some trading psychology questions that you guys answered me. A couple DMs from some people who asked me some questions. As usual, big shout out to Prime XBT for sponsoring these videos. Check out my links at the bottom. You can trade there with a bonus. None of these videos are financial advice. Seek out a financial advisor. I'm just here sharing my own thoughts. What you do is up to you, and that's it. All right, we're looking at Bitcoin. We're zoomed out, right? We're on the weekly because right now we're seeing, a shift in momentum. Obviously, we were having this crazy, bull run, sort of a double top here, and then we broke market structure, and we've been downtrending since. I think this 39 area is a pretty crucial level to hold here on the weekly. It seems like any time that Bitcoin enters this price area, we're basically going to tag 30K. So I'm not saying that we couldn't do a wick and run this stop. I think that's possible, a little bit of a fake out. But I think if we do see acceptance inside this range, if we see acceptance inside here, then this probably flips into resistance and we probably retest the 30K level. That's just, like I said, today's going to be more of a zoom out day, and then, we'll talk trading psychology stuff. And I presume it's a tough time in the market for people seeing how things have been going. Hopefully, you took some profits along the way with me. It's easy to say in hindsight, so I don't want to, harp on it. But you guys know, if you've been watching my videos for a while, I was constantly preaching taking profits, etc., etc. And hopefully, you understand why. I had that one pretty viral, for lack of better words, within crypto Twitter, where I was saying, I don't give a fuck if it goes to 10,000 when I see a chart like this. And when we were at like 4,200, I was saying I'm taking profits no matter what. So again, I know it's easy to say. But hopefully, if you didn't take profits, you learned for next time. And if you did take profits, I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. You got to take crypto Twitter with a grain of salt, man, because those moon boys will have you aiming for 20,000 Ethereum, when in reality we were seeing an insane rally, and it obviously needed to cool off. Okay, let me take a sip of water. So moving over to Ethereum, we sort of have the same type of setup that Bitcoin has, right? These weekly closes right here flipping to support. ETH, weekly closes flipping into support. Now we haven't tested this level yet. This is the level I'm interested in actually. I'm interested in 27. I'm interested actually in this whole area here on the daily. We can see this is the consolidation that led to the up move that basically broke us out of this long consolidation. So sweeping this low at 26.45 is of interest to me. And also, just watching how Bitcoin played out, we can see how Bitcoin, this consolidation area right here, it basically tested the bottom of this consolidation right there a little bit extra, right? So if we saw that on Ethereum, we would say, okay, the bottom of this consolidation, and maybe a little bit extra. Okay, so that's my plan. Watching, sort of the upper half of this box. Could go a little bit lower. Anything I do in here will obviously be a little looser than usual. Not going to play a really tight stop, because when you do play a really tight stop on, aggressive down moves, you get those liquidation cascades. If you don't feel like you're able to manage your risk, or you're able to manage your liquidation, etc., etc., you don't need to get in on the very first move down, right? You can let it come down, you can let it push, and maybe you get that crazy blow off wick and it bounces, and then, sorry, that was a shitty line. Maybe you get that crazy blow off wick and it bounces, but then this block right here is where you wanted to buy. It's gonna come and retest this and give it to you clean, and then you can put the stop below there. Okay, so it's all strategy based. You don't need to jump in front of the fire as it's roaring. You can wait for it to cool down and then assist in throwing water on it, so to say. Okay, that's something that's really important, something that I've learned, because there's many times where I see price barreling down, and there's many times where it was my very best days, and there were many times where I was shitting my pants a little bit. I can't lie. Luckily, never got blown out. I never really over risk since many years ago. But yeah, that's part of it. You don't need to jump in front of the running train, the moving train. Let it move. let it slow down a little bit, and then you can get in if that's your plan. Just have your levels in mind, okay? When I look at ETH and I look at BTC, I do think at some point this year we will see a rally up into like, at least like 36ish, maybe even, a little overextension into like maybe 4K or 38. Somewhere around here, I'd look to chop a little bit more spot probably. Time and time again, crypto sort of looks dead and then it finds a way to rally back. And, many times when that has happened, when we get a strong bounce, I do take some profits and eventually, it starts running again. And then I just simply get back in, it's not the end of the world to, take profits on bounces, especially when you're downtrending. Okay. We can look at some of these alts real quick, but we're not going to really do anything special. Near had a really good trade off of here. I do think I did talk about it on Twitter, but I don't think I posted about it directly. I think I commented about it on, like Mitch's, if you know Mitch. I think I commented a reply to him. Obvious flip here, right? You just have your 12-hour level. It flipped to support. That was an easy long. I took that one. I closed because just round number 20. I have no idea where it's going. FTM, you're up against resistance level here. It's pretty obvious. Even though, everyone's pretty bullish on the ecosystem and whatnot lately, but you are up against resistance. Atom, it's going to be chopping in this range for a while. One, looks pretty strong, although it is next towards all-time highs. Because the thing is, I can't get into any of these coins that are at resistance or at all-time highs when Bitcoin and ETH are, struggling, because they're not giving the altcoins room to run. Luna was weaker than expected on the down move. I didn't expect it to breach 75. Flip it to resistance. Came back and reclaimed. Overall, I said it last time. When it broke my level, I don't know, this was just sort of feeling a little scammy to me. I'm not really interested in Luna much at all, until maybe the gray box. AVAX is doing the bouncing ball. We had resistance here, flips to support, support, support. If you've never seen the bouncing ball, you know what it looks like per Bitcoin long ago. This is the bouncing ball. So you have a support level and then essentially bouncing ball. And eventually it breaks down. Not saying that that's necessarily going to happen at AVAX, but at the moment it looks like a bouncing ball, and that's how I'm playing it. Solana, I really don't have any interest in it. I don't know. I never really liked Sol in the first place. I just played it because the price action was clean for a bit. And in my opinion, it's no longer that clean anymore. I would buy like this level, I guess, but that's sort of way far off. Okay, let's get to the questions. First questions I received in a DM was from someone who got scammed by the Telegram scammer. Guys, I'm never going to DM you first. Very unlikely. And if I do, make sure you verify my username and whatnot. This guy was phishing people's usernames from my replies and whatnot, and then DMing them. So yeah, just watch out for that. I don't have any groups. I don't have any mentorships, etc., etc. Okay, so this DM asked, what I was going to ask you, your favorite trade setups and your rules. I struggle with consistency. Okay, I think the favorite trade setup thing is pretty obvious. I do it a lot. It's typically like swing lows into supports or swing lows into resistances. Those are my favorite trade setups. And your rules, I struggle with consistency. Rules it's keeping my risk as what I intended it to be. That's a major rule of mine. I don't really adjust my risk much unless I've, literally, when I go on runs and stuff, I talk to myself and I think if I'm in the right place in the market, and I think if I'm, trading, how much risk I should be and whatnot. And if I make a thoughtful decision to change my risk, then I do so. But I don't just change it willy-nilly on the spot. So that's one of my rules, is I keep my risk in check. And if you're struggling with consistency, I really just think it's experience. I talked more to this person and told them, you need to, if you're having trouble with consistency, it's most likely a lack of experience, and lack of experience typically stems from not trading enough. And if you're not trading enough and letting your plans play out, that typically comes from just being oversized. Once you reduce your size and you let your plans play out, you'll start to see a lot more improvement. Think of it as a game where maybe money isn't the prize, but you being, successful in your trades is the prize. I don't know if I said surprise before, but that's the prize, right? Because if you put $1 on the line, you're not going to worry about your trades anymore. So you want, your risk to be somewhere where you're comfortable, but also where it's somewhat meaningful. And your risk will naturally grow as you become more experienced and more confident in your own trading ability. Okay. Sorry, demo, I'm not sure. Trader GT asks, how do you play stop losses in general? For example, I would look to enter FPM around 2.6, put my SL 2.54. Stop losses in general, it really all depends on the setup. If it's a weekly setup, I'm typically playing a wider stop. If it's a daily setup, I'm typically playing a stop that's based off the daily. If I'm playing with Fibonacci, like you say here, and I'm buying the 618, my stop is probably going to be derived from price action, and I'll look at like the 705 OT or something and make sure it's below there as well at the 786. If I'm playing a order block, then the stop is below the order block, unless it could be a liquidation cascade in which, if it's going to be some type of a major move, then the stop is wider. But that also has confluence with what I just talked about with if it's a weekly trade or if it's a daily trade, etc. So stop loss is based around the setup itself. Okay, could you go over entry triggers? I got to the point where my levels are pretty good, but I get shaken out by the time the trade I had in mind actually plays out. Sounds like it's not entry trigger that's your problem, because you say your levels are pretty good, but you're getting shaken out. So you're getting the entry. You just have too much risk on board, and that's why you're not letting the trade play out. So reduce the risk and let the trade play out. You don't need to overextend yourself. Let the risk be in check. Develop confidence, and then you can increase size over time. How did you learn market psychology? Is there any other way than learning through experience? Experience is definitely number one. One audiobook that I did listen to was Jesse Livermore, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. That was good. He talks about often, playing a lone hand, meaning, not really taking advice and inside information and whatnot from others, and really focusing on your own journey and your own trades. I think crypto Twitter is really good for like fundamental help and whatnot, but when it comes to trading and charts and whatnot, there's very few who are often very accurate. So you either have to know who those people are, or you just have to focus on your own trading. This last few days, the market is very choppy. How do you deal with it? If it's very choppy to the point where I can't trade, I just don't trade. And if it's choppy, I look for something that's clean, like this near trade that I just talked about. We had clean resistance here. It was an overall bullish chart, right? So we have a breakout into all-time highs, and you get a perfect retest of this level. And that's a clean trade. And you get, you get about 16% off that risk reward wise. I think I got like a 2 or something. I had my stop about here. I got like a 2.6, 2.5 risk reward. Okay. So there's trades in the market, right? You can move over to Roku here. In my opinion, Roku's getting to a level of significance here. If it doesn't hold this level somewhere in here, then obviously it's going to complete shit, in my opinion. So I bought my first call today. I might load up more in here if it comes down. But there are clean trades all over the market. Whether they're going to hold or not, I can't promise you. But there are clean trades out there. So if the market's choppy, you're probably looking in the wrong place. And if everywhere's choppy, then it's time to take a break. Should you chase trending tickers in choppy environments or be patient? When BTC and ETH are not giving the go-ahead for these trending tickers to necessarily move and continue, it's probably best not to chase them. That's when you end up buying top. You can play specific trades in between. So like I said, near was bullish. You can play a quick move in here, a quick 20% move. Why not? But it doesn't mean that you buy spot on this flip and hold it for $50. That doesn't really make sense if everything else is choppy and downtrending environment. Do you use Alt-I often? Alt-I. I guess that means inverse. I don't know. I've never done that. I don't know. If you're baptized in up only market, yeah, just flip it, man. It's not that hard. Just, flip it into, you could flip it with Alt I, or you could just flip it in your brain and just say, hey, it's the same thing. If a swing low into support is a good trade, then in a downtrending market, a swing low into resistance is a good short. Is when to TP an emergency TP, since market is probably going to dip hard? I can't say whether the market's going to dip hard or not. No one knows exactly what's going to happen. The only thing I could say is that, when price is parabolic and everyone is euphoric and everyone and their grandmother's making money, that's when you should be taking profits. It's really as simple as that. If you've been with me for a while, you know that every time people get crazy, I talk about taking profits. I always do it. Is TA mostly just the market psychology agreeing on how it should work? What factors outside of psychology are good metrics to track? Yeah, I guess technical analysis is supposed to be the culmination of all market participants and how they view the charts. Obviously, there's also some whale games in there. It's a little bit of everything. That's why I think sometimes when my level doesn't work, I'm like, okay, well, fuck this chart, because my level worked on all these other charts. I wasn't just wrong on this one. Something has changed. Something is weird, so to say. So find the charts where your technicals are working. And if your technicals are not working at all, then it's on your side. And if your technicals are working 70 to 80% of the time, or 90% of the time, you feel like your levels are good, but you are trading a chart where your levels aren't respected, close that fucking chart. Find something new. What other factors outside of psychology are good metrics to track? Just pay attention to, sentiment and euphoria. When all your friends on Instagram are talking about crypto, it's time to take some profits. You said outside of psychology. Yeah, I don't know. You want to keep an eye on like the Federal Reserve and what their stance is. I don't know, when open interest is really high, you want to be careful, stuff like that, because you usually get a flush on the OI. With market trend focus changing almost every month, quarter now, everyone and their mom is getting into phone. Would it be better to hop on the bandwagon? I don't know. It's hard to say. It depends really what BTC and ETH provide. They do look good, but they're also pretty pumped. This is up 20x in just a couple months now. So definitely got to be careful. If you want to get in, you can, but I wouldn't be all-inning into stuff that's already up 20x in a couple months. I would definitely be have an entry point, have a point where I believe I'm wrong and the conditions have changed. And if I was getting into something, I certainly wouldn't be using a large percentage of portfolio at the moment, because it seems like a lot of things are downtrending. And all it's going to take is if those guys turn a corner and they start downtrending, it could get a little ugly. How to make a quantifiable profitable trading strategy. Let me blow my nose. Is there a way to backtest setups that are part of your trading strategy? Okay, so I don't know if I'm going to necessarily answer this 100% properly, but if I really wanted to have everything like labeled and statistical, I would keep track of my setups, and I would list their success rate and how much risk reward I'm getting out of them. So for example, I would say, okay, SFP daily, it works 60% of the time. I typically get 3 risk reward out of it. Okay, sweep swing low on 4 hour into support, works 50% of the time, normally get 4 risk reward out of it. Weekly SFP or weekly support block, works 70% of the time, typically get 1.5 risk reward out of it. Okay, so I would have that, and I would have the setups all labeled and mapped out, and I would track and see which setups were my most profitable, and then I would simply look at every chart and try to incorporate those setups into the future of the chart, essentially. As far as backtesting, you could backtest stuff, but it doesn't really matter for the future. Are 4-year cycles a thing in the past? I have no idea. Everyone just, I think what is true about crypto is that there's so many people in it and there's so many eyes on it that there will always be a pump somewhere. You just have to find it. when the bull run is going full steam, it's like showing up to a rave. You know, the party's always going. You could show up anytime. But when the bull run calms down and there's only very selective things pumping, it's like finding a house party. It's going to be a lot harder to find, but there is still a good time somewhere. Question on the Fed: Why has there been talk of tapering the balance sheet for months? They continue to add to it. Good question. I have no idea. How is the expansion of the balance sheet important to you, in your opinion? I mean, it's got to be pretty important because as the balance sheet went up, so did all the risk assets. So I'm not going to pretend I'm some type of macro Federal Reserve expert. There's definitely smarter people to go find for that. But I think it's just, the Fed said that they were going to, incorporate very lenient and accommodating monetary policy coming into COVID. And nothing with COVID mattered. Deaths didn't matter. Literally nothing mattered. The number went up. And now they're saying that they're going to dial it back and they're going to taper and they're going to hike rates and all that stuff. And, if we're not overthinking it, you would just say number go down. So I don't know. That's my current thoughts on it. Doesn't mean there won't be good bounces. Doesn't mean there can't be pumps in the future. Doesn't mean we don't eventually go to 100K. It doesn't really mean anything. I don't really know. But all I do know is that, that would be the simplest explanation. When scanning crypto Twitter for subjective bias, how cynical should I be? You should always be very cynical, in my opinion. Most of the time, people are just shilling their own bags. There is some good alpha out there. I prefer to check everything out for myself, right? When it comes to charting, I do all the charting myself. I don't look at other people's charts before I do my own in the morning. I don't look at Twitter before I do my own charts in the morning. I like to do my own stuff first. When it comes to fundamental stuff, there's a couple people I probably trust. And everyone else is just shilling their fucking garbage bags and garbage NFTs, bunch of fucking scams. Be very cynical and double check everything and always check for yourself. How long did it take you to find your system and become consistently profitable? Probably like 3 years, 3.5 years, something like that. I think I'm on like my 6th year now or something. Yeah, somewhere around there, something clicked, and it was really the size thing, in my opinion. I was always like afraid to let my trades run, and I always thought I was good, but I was more of a good analyst than I was trader. And then I just said, fuck it, I'm just gonna trade like very small size. And when I started trading really small size and seeing what I could do and seeing how my account was building actually off a small size, because I wasn't doing anything crazy, just 3-4 trades a week sometimes, and small size, but the account was still building quite quickly. And then you're like, well, holy shit, so I can actually do this, and that develops confidence, and then you can increase your size. Where did you learn patience? What percentage crypto exposure are you on right now? How did I learn patience? I guess just through experience, and like I said, letting my trades play out. That's really what develops your patience, is when you know that your trade is still valid. And that's just from experience. Eventually you'll learn like, oh, it's not valid anymore, it's still valid. Patience also probably comes from, general life, right? If you live a very stressful life, if you don't exercise, if you don't eat healthy, if you don't sleep well, your patience is going to be shit. You have to take care of yourself in all facets of life. And then that will relay into your trading, which will help with, experience and success, and that just breeds patience. What percentage crypto exposure are you on right now? Like fucking 15% or something. I was out 80% by like the tops, like 55K plus, more at 60. Started selling ETH at 3.5, more at 4, more at 4.5, more at 4.2. I was getting out a lot during the euphoria. I think I talked about it to the best of my ability in my videos. I wasn't going to tell people exactly what to do. I can't tell people, oh, it's time to exit the market, because if I'm wrong, then, everyone hates you forever. So I think I did my very best at explaining to everyone how I felt and what I was doing. I did a portfolio management video. Go watch that video if you want to hear about, managing your portfolio. And I think I really tried to relay what I was doing. Yeah. What small cap markets are you looking at? None at the moment. I'm just relaxing for the most part, just trading charts. I'm not looking to be like fundamentally stuck into anything like I was in AVAX ecosystem a couple months ago when it was bull running. When to sell crypto in a bull market if you use buy and hold strategy. Where do you get out? What does an exit plan look like? An exit plan looks like selling slowly over euphoric times and euphoric periods. You could use like something like a TD, no, not a TD, like a super guppy on like daily to get a good read. Typically when you like very much detach, and I'm not saying this works every time, so don't like make this your primary strategy, but typically when you detach from the guppy on the daily is when you get like a pullback. You could see the detachment of the blue, right? So when you get that detachment, it's typically a good time to take some spot profit. And I was doing that on the way up, doing 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%. And again, it happened, it happened again here, detachment, happened again here, detachment, happened again, almost here, but not really. You really want that full-on detachment. So that's a decent strategy. I'm not saying it's always going to work, but it's a decent strategy to take some profits. And really, it's not necessarily about specific technical analysis. It's really just about saying, okay, we're seeing a massive bull run here. We're seeing a straight euphoric line upwards, right? Okay, I need to be trimming. Let's say I have 10 Bitcoins. I trim one here, trim another one here. Maybe I trim 2 here. Maybe I trim another 2 here. I'm left with, 4 Bitcoins or something, okay? Maybe that's all I wanted to sell, and that's fine, okay? You don't need to sell 100%. You don't need to time the top perfectly with all of your holdings, because eventually you're going to be wrong. If you sold all 10 by here and it kept going, you're going to feel like a jackass. But you can be out 50% by here, and hey, that's better than nothing, and that's very much better than nothing. So don't try to make it that you need absolute perfection. Just try to make it that you're taking profits along the way that is going to help your lifestyle, that's going to make you comfortable. And once again, check out the portfolio management video because I talk about this heavily in there. And yeah, that's what I would be doing. Taking profits slowly but surely. The more euphoric people get, the more I take. Because I do know that eventually the party does come to an end, especially when it gets really crazy. That's when when every single person's talking about crypto. The top is only so far away. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for the questions. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. We covered Bitcoin thoughts, covered ETH thoughts, looked at some of the alt charts real quick. As usual, my Prime XBT links are at the bottom. Shout out to them for sponsoring these videos. I appreciate you all. And I will see you all next week. And make sure to, leave some feedback, comments, like, retweet, everything. All that stuff is helpful, and I appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.